Hi, this is Dumb Ghost Hunter podcast video show bringing on. And tonight I'm very lucky to have a special guest, from Kentucky, where we just came back about a week ago. I got Bishop James Long with me tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm very good. And we came back from Bobby Mackey about a week ago, and we had an awesome experience over there. It was an extremely active investigation, and I know you've been there. And thank you very much for the advice you gave us on the way in. Like you said, if something happens in a room and you don't feel comfortable, you can leave. Listen to your body. So that was good advice, very good advice, and really appreciate your help on this investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. I always tell people that you can have the most expensive equipment in the world. You can have the most expensive equipment, but the fact is, if it runs on batteries, often the batteries are drained completely, and then you have a useless equipment, basically. So the one equipment that doesn't drain is obviously your body, and when your body tells you it's time to leave, you leave.
Exactly.
So I've always found that was the best equipment to use on any investigation.
It's true, because today, it's almost like an arm race, and that's now the gadget race. I got the new Ovilus 3. And I'm not saying these things are not good, but like you said, the investigator remains the best tool that we have. It's ourselves, our sixth sense, and the way we feel and the way we investigate. I always think that if you if you have a respectful approach in your investigations, you're going to have a lot more cool stuff happen, because you're going to, if you want to respect people while they're alive, you should still respect them when they're dead,
Yeah, and I think also sometimes people get so obsessed with gadgets that they become so focused on them that they may lose sight of activity in front of them, because they're so focused on handling these gadgets, etc., that they really are not in the experience of the investigation. They're not really in it. They're so focused on this tool that they really should kind of absorb what's going on in the room and use the tool just as what it really should be, as a tool. But it shouldn't be the primary focus of an investigation, because I think it distracts. And many times it distracts the investigator from the activity that's occurring right in front of them.
Exactly, you're right. And you've been to Bob Mackey a few times. I know you've been with Zach and Aaron when he asked you to. You did the live take over there, and you had a lot of personal experiences over there.
Well, I did. Yeah, I was over there about 3 times with them. We filmed 3 different episodes with the Ghost Adventures crew. And I got to tell you, and we were talking about this earlier. And I don't get paid by Ghost Adventures. I'm not an actor on Travel Channel. I don't get paid by Travel Channel. I don't get paid by Bobby Mackey's. And so people ask me all the time about my experience at Bobby Mackey's, and I tell them this is what happened. I tell people my experience on Ghost Adventures. If nothing happened, I'll tell you that nothing happened, because I have nothing to gain at all for misleading people, because I don't get paid by Ghost Adventures. I don't get paid at all by Bobby Mackey. So, as a matter of fact, I don't get paid at all for this ministry. There's no pay. There's no money. I don't do this at all for any payment. And all the documentaries, all that other stuff, all the television shows, I haven't received a penny for.
Exactly.
So, that's good, because then I can tell you exactly what I experienced. I'm not beholden to anybody.
Exactly.
That's why I tell you straightforward, this is what I experienced. And I experienced this, or I didn't experience that.
And you did experience, you smelled sulfur, as you told me before. Was it in the basement or in the bar area?
It was definitely in the basement area. We were getting ready for we had the cross there and the dispenser. We were putting incense in there and lighting the charcoal, and they heard a noise right behind us, a loud bang, and we walked behind there, and there's a really strong sulfur smell, and it made a couple of guys really sick. It was nauseating. It was pretty powerful. And then that's when we continued on, to the ritual.
Exactly. And I remember in the first episode when Zach came to you and he said, and you talked about the provoking, that is very dangerous. And I'm sure that it's one area that is very sensible in that when you provoke, the chances are, you put you're more at risk, to get negative interaction than when you go out there trying to help, But
you gotta understand, when you're provoking, I always tell people, many years ago, I kind of reminded people something that many people didn't think of. And that the fact is that demonic entities provoke back. And we're not the only ones that provoke. That they do it, though, on their own time. They provoke back when you're sick, when you're lonely, when you lost your job, when your spouse, a partner leaves you, or when you're in the hospital. That's when they provoke. And people have got to understand that. You can beat them. That's what I told Zach. You can beat your chest and say, look how tough I am, and I can beat you up and all that other. They're looking straight at you and saying, oh, I'm going to provoke back. You'll see me again. But you'll see me when it's better for me, not better for you. And people have got to remember that.
You're right, because you come back home and you got your family, you got your friends, you got your regular job, and then at some point, all those investigations can come back, and there. Of course, you always take a chance where you investigate a private home or a place like Bobby Mackey that you can bring back an entity with you, and that's the danger of doing it, and that's the risk that we're willing to take, because it's a field that we choose, that we love, and I'm sure that for you it's a passion to do it, because you wouldn't do exorcist and you wouldn't be involved in this field if you didn't have your art in it. You really believed in helping people, and that's what I also believe in. That's why I was so much following your stuff. After I saw you on the first episode, I was like, oh my God, I was following you on your website, bishopjameslong.com, on your the ministry that you give in Kentucky, and all the stuff that you do, because there's so much more going on about you than just what we saw on television screen. You're a very active member of the clergy in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's correct. That is correct. Yeah, they understand people. I mean, sometimes they forget that the paranormal community is, one of my ministries. I've got a lot more. Being a bishop of the church, you're responsible for the priests, you're responsible for parishes, you're responsible for seminarians, you're responsible for the seminary, and you're responsible for, helping the community, the local community. There's so much that we do. And so the paranormal community is just one of my ministries. I also own Inspire Radio Network, and Inspire Radio is strictly for shows to inspire people. And so there's so much going on, and this is just, like I said, the paranormal is just one. That's just a part of my ministries.
Exactly. And the one I was very interested about is the United States Old Catholic Church, where you give seminaries. Is it something you've done for a long time?
Well, sure. Yeah. I studied for the Roman Catholic priesthood, and I received formation that was very good, both academically and spiritually. They were tough, and it was probably the best years of my life. And it was, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that priests within the Old Catholic Church, that they in fact are properly formed too, spiritually and academically. And so we have a very strong, solid seminary program. It's not brick and mortar. It's 100% online, which is good, because, quite honestly, if it was brick and mortar, we'd have to charge a substantial amount of money for all the upkeep, for the bills. There's so much that you have to go with. But when it's all online and then you're properly formed by an academic advisor, that makes a lot of sense. Then basically, our seminarians don't pay anything. And they get properly trained for the priesthood, and when they're ready to be ordained, they know they're educated, they know the canons, they know the sacraments, they know everything that they need to know about being, obviously a priest in the Catholic Church. And, then we can, in clear conscience, we can lay hands upon the ordinate and ordain them to the presbyterate. And that's the way it should be.
That's incredible. And I also wanted you to talk to me about your podcast, because I love doing podcasts. I've been doing it for a while, and you got your Inspire Radio. Is it a podcast that you do every week?
Oh no, it's a live show. They're live shows, and we have several shows on. We have 2 shows on this evening. We have a show on tomorrow and show Wednesday and 2 shows Thursday. We have 2 shows on Sunday. But these are live shows. So they go to our radio, or they go to our radio web address. And then there's a chat room right there, and they can listen to we also have music playing when we're not on air. So, it's one of those things where it's all about inspiration. So all of our shows are inspirational. They're completely drama-free, and we have all kinds of people who are doing live shows, but these are live shows.
Exactly. You talk a lot about the spiritual direction, and like your free will and stuff like that. So I'm very interested in that because I'm going through that journey myself. Of course, the paranormal. I'll tell you something. Experience that I had in Gettysburg about a year ago. I know you probably know Miss Dustin Perry, who was with Ghost Hunters a few years ago.
Very good guy.
Oh my God! And Dustin, we were just investigating General Lee's headquarters, and nothing was happening. Probably the less active investigation I ever had in my life. And at one point, Dustin said, "There's nothing going on, so let's just chat." And he started talking about the journey that he went through in the paranormal field, because he said the paranormal changed my life, and it made me a better person because it made me realize that what you do in this life can affect what happens to you in the afterlife. So it changed him, and he became aware of God, and he went on a journey, and now I think he preaches in his area, and it's incredible. You could see that the man has completely changed. So that really inspired me, and I remember I was sitting there, in the dark, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!" That through the paranormal field, it can change your life, can make you become aware of being careful for the other persons that you're with, and not only trying to help the spirits, but the people that are around you all the time.
It's interesting. The paranormal, even with anything, even with like money. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could be an absolute phenomenal, thing to get into, because it can develop your spirituality, because you can learn to become pastoral. In other words, you're walking to someone's home, you have to care about the homeowners. You have to really legitimately be concerned about them, because they're frightened. It's not always about getting the evidence. It's about being there for the people who are legitimately scared and letting them know that you're not going to abandon them. You see, in those cases, the paranormal community is beautiful because it fosters that love that people have to be pastoral. But on the other hand, being involved in the paranormal community can also be temptation, in that there are shows, and many people will sell out, and many people will do whatever they possibly can to one-up the other team, to one-up the other person, to try to promote themselves to the point of even lying about their credentials, etc. So because they want to get that TV show, they want to get that glory, that fame. So it's all about the intent. The same way with money. Money is neither good or bad. It's the intent on how you're going to use that money. Are you going to use the money to hoard and to refuse to share with others, or are you going to use that money for the betterment of your life as well as those people around you? And therefore, money itself, the object, becomes a good thing. So it's all about the intent of the person.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that because, as we were doing our investigation at Bobby Mackey in the basement, we were in a room where the little kids are supposedly always there, 2 little kids and Big Red. And we were doing our investigation. We were getting a lot of ghost box responses, K2 responses. And at one point, I just said, it was the best evidence I ever got. And it was I simply asked, are you not used to have people coming here this way? And usually people would come here more like a police interrogation, like, why are you here? Why are you staying here? Why? Instead of coming here and saying, what can we do to help you? And as I said that, we're getting K2 and Maglite responses. And then I said, what can we do to help? And I'm like, I still get emotionally. I was just reviewing the tape yesterday, and it said, "You are," and I said, "We are." I said, "You are," as if just by talking to us right now, you're helping us. And I was like, my God, this is exactly why we're here. This is what we're here to do. You know, we're here to help. We're not here to have the, 20,000 views of our videos. We're not here for a TV show. We're here because we want to help. And, that's the point of it all. And I'm sure that, have you investigated a lot, with teams that their intentions were really to try to help? I would think so. That's probably when you when they call you is when they really need help. So it's probably more on very tough cases.
Well, yeah. I founded the Paranormal Clergy about 12 years ago, and the reason is that I started the Paranormal Clergy is because there was really no network organization that could help the paranormal community as well as homeowners, and there was no clergy that was helping. So about 12 years ago, I started the Paranormal Clergy, and now it's one of the largest networks in the United States. And we have teams all across the United States. So if a homeowner contacts us, they email us the Paranormal Clergy, and then we have two administrators, Kathleen and Rich Valdez. They review the email, and then based on the information, they send it to all the affiliates, and then the affiliate groups will then investigate the case. And if they think that it warrants the clergy's attention, then we get involved. So it's all about, I do this because, and I've always done it because I've met people who are legitimately frightened, really scared. And if you just, I keep those families always in my prayers and my thoughts, and that's what keeps me going. Knowing that if I can offer just a little bit of peace of mind, just a little bit, that I've done my job.
That's incredible. And, do you assist teams sometimes in the Louisville area? Sometimes will you just go investigate with teams that are just afraid, or just like, we've been to this place, we feel there's something wrong going on there, and we'd love to have you along to help us? Or you go really when there's like more personal cases, or something needs to be done? I tell you, I don't have a whole lot of time for just extracurricular activity, just go to investigate, just kind of to investigate, or for fun, or perhaps maybe another reason. I primarily go because a family is legitimately frightened, and there is real activity that is occurring in the home in which they need clergy assistance. So when I get involved in cases, it's usually because it's bad. Exactly.
And so, and to be honest with you, my time is so incredibly limited that I wish I had more time to do those cases just for fun. But the need is so huge, it is so massive that I'm limited.
Exactly. And, we live in a crazy world. I just saw the video you posted about a week ago about that thing in Jersey, and the kids, in the street, it seems like we're living in a world right now where there's not a lot of direction, and people seems to be confused, and they really don't know who to look up to, and I find it very cool that there's still a lot of people like you around that we can look up to, and we can inspire ourselves from, because sometimes, it seems as if the more it goes, the crazier it gets.
It is. And, I'm like everybody else. I have my strengths and I have my faults. And I always tell people, just always keep in mind the people who really legitimately need your help, and always remember them. Don't ever forget them. And remember, that's why you're here, is to help families who are so frightened. And if we can give people just a couple minutes of relief from that anxiety, boy, we've done an amazing thing.
You're right. And sometimes, investigating, my take is that sometimes people will, straight off the bat, there's good spirits, there's bad spirits, but I also think that there's misunderstood spirits, like misunderstood people that maybe never really had a chance to say what they had to say, that were judged for something they didn't do. And sometimes when you investigate with an open mind, you can have different results from what you thought was going to happen.
That's exactly right. And I think that's what we got to remember also, and you kind of hinted at this, you made that statement. You got to remember that when you're going to a place that's allegedly haunted, if there's not malevolent activity that is occurring, that rather just a spirit just trying to, let the homeowner know that they exist, we have to remember these are human beings. These weren't animals. That these spirits are souls. They're human beings. And so we have to keep that in mind. Now, if you're dealing with a malevolent or demonic entity, that's different. But if you're dealing with a human spirit that has just remained in a home for a variety of reasons, let's be respectful. Not only, of course, the homeowner, but let's be respectful of the spirit that exists.
The same way exactly we would for a living person standing in front of us. And that's where I think that maybe a lot of times, the excitement and the need for getting evidence overshadows the true motives of what paranormal should be all about, which is exactly like you said, you're trying to help and trying to ease the activity and not trying to spike the activity.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Because you get to go home, but the people live there, Even at Bobby Mackey, Wanda or Mr. Mackey, they go there every week. So if we go out there and we provoke and we get things bad, worse than it was, we're not helping, So.
And let's also remember, please, paranormal investigators and groups, when you go into a home, please don't spout off, well, you got a demon in your home and then leave. And that's happening a lot, where paranormal investigators are going into someone's home, and these people are legitimately frightened. They're legitimately scared because they're not involved in the paranormal community, and they are really afraid. And then paranormal groups will say, oh, you got a demon in your home.
And they leave. And
now the parents, the family is truly terrified.
My goodness, it's incredible. And in cases like that, has it happened for you to have to go and interfere and go to the person's place and try to help them? After teams do that to people, that they will contact you?
Oh, we have that problem all the time. We go in there constantly cleaning up messes that a lot of teams will go in, or even worse, we'll have to go in and clean up a lot of the mess of people claiming to be demonologists. So people claim to be demonologists and have no training whatsoever in demonology at all. None, zero, zilch. And then they go in and they cause all kinds of grief and stress for the family. Then we have to turn around and clean up their mess. That happens a lot.
That's incredible. And how many times, I would say a month, you have to interfere in cases like that? Is it? I'm sure it's not always. It could be twice, and then the other month there could be none. But is it something you have to do on a weekly basis or monthly basis?
Yeah, usually we have about 3 or 4 cases a month.
Oh my God! So that's a lot of work, and because you need to do research before you go out there. You need to talk to the owners. There's a lot of stuff that going on that. Before an investigation, the pre-investigation is a lot more work than the investigation itself,
That's right. It's tremendous. I mean, it's a tremendous. So now, and keep in mind, now the family is legitimately frightened, truly frightened. So now you have to go in. They were already frightened to begin with. So now you have to go in and try to really calm them down, clean up their mess, and just now you have to explain why somebody who is not properly trained at all in demonology went to their home and, quite honestly, put on a facade.
Exactly. And is the demonology something that you were attracted to when you started going to the clergy? Is this something that over the years that you develop an interest in it, or something that straight off the bat you start doing?
No. See, demonology is a calling from God. You are called. This is a calling. It's not something you choose. I knew at 9 years old. 9 years old, I knew I absolutely wanted to begin to read books on demonology. I didn't know why. I just knew that I just had that burning desire. The same way I knew at 5 years old when I was in kindergarten that I wanted to be a priest. So this is a calling. It's not something you choose to do. It's not something you wake up one morning and say, I think I'll do this because I'm bored. It's something that God calls you to do.
That's incredible. And it happened when you were 9 years old.
Yeah, so I remember at 9 years old, I wanted to read as much as I possibly could on demonology. I didn't know why. I didn't understand it necessarily, that I knew that I had to read as much. I couldn't put it down. I could not put the books down.
That's incredible. And is you still active in this field because you've done Exorcist? Is it something that you do often, or is it something that you've done and now you told me before the podcast started that you're still doing some, and is it something you need to do very often?
No, well, I've been doing this for 14 years now, and I answer roughly between 100 and 200 emails a day. And that's just me. That's not including the administrators of the Paranormal Clergy, the organization that I started. And so in about 14 years, I performed 27 exorcisms.
Oh, my God.
And they're very rare. Exorcisms are very, very rare. So true possession doesn't occur, every month. It's a very rare thing, but when they do, it's quite intense.
Oh, my God. It sure is. And I've never been involved yet, but I'm sure that over the years it might happen. And in that case, it's I find it very comforting to know that the paranormal clergy is there, that we can have somebody that we can come forward to and have professionals, because this is over our pay grade, for me. I love investigating. I love trying to help, but demonology, I'm not pretending to be a demonologist. I really read a lot of books on it. I read the book of John Zaffis, and but still, to do it, you need more than just read a book. You need to. It's a calling, like you said.
It is, and see, when you read a book, and then if you read a book and you go around and saying, "Yeah, I'm a demonologist," they're not, because all that person has is what's called secondary research. And secondary research is when you read a book and then you go around telling people that you're a demonologist. Well, no, you have to have primary research. That's first-hand experience. There's a big difference, a huge difference between being taught how to fly a plane, reading books, versus actually getting in the cockpit and actually flying it.
Oh my God, that's exact. You nailed it. That's so true. Or seeing a paranormal show and thinking, "Oh my God, I can do it," and actually going out there, sitting in the dark for hours, getting no responses, and then saying, "Oh my God, I thought it was exciting." But 90% of the time, you're talking to the walls. There's nothing happening. But that's exactly when you have to remember that you're there to help. You're not there for the thrill, and I think that's why there's a lot of teams coming and a lot of things going at the same time. Because once the thrill is gone, then it's the passion that comes around and the true calling. And like you said, for you, it happened when you were 9 years old. It happened to me. I was 37 years old when I realized that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. But it changed my life. It changed my life 100%. Now that's basically all I do. That's basically all I do. And meeting people like you and talking with people like you, learning from people like you, is only going to grow the field and make us better investigators, so we can help more people.
That's right, and that's the ultimate goal. And I found that's when I'm most happy. Well, I'm most happy when I'm helping people.
Exactly, and you do because the clergy, and I listened to the podcast you had with my friends from Georgia Spike Paranormal 2 weeks ago, and for you just to take the time to do it, to talk to us. When I sent you a message, before our investigation at Bobby Mackey, you didn't know me. You still took the time to answer me, give us good advice about being careful. And I said to myself, that's at some point it gives you the boost that you need to go. Like there's so much awesome people that are there for the good reasons, that it pushes you to get better and to keep on going forward. For the field to go forward, we need more and more people to get involved, and we need people like you to inspire us to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll do the best I can. And let me tell you this: the days that you get frustrated, the days that you get very angry or want to give up, just remember this: the closer you get to God, the harder the devil works against you. And if you're doing good works, and if you're helping people, you are growing closer to God. And so therefore the devil is going to work that much harder. So if you know the devil is working really hard, you know that you must be growing closer to God. So keep growing closer.
Oh, so the podcast is already. Thank you very much, Bishop Long. It was